Hey guys, hi YouTube, hi to all my subscribers. I don't even believe I have like 41 subscribers. I'm like, people like me. But I haven't been on YouTube in a long while because I've been going through a lot. I've been in a shelter for like a year because I had a hard time getting a place to live because like I was technically like middle income, not low income. And then my credit was a little wishy-washy. It still kind of is. I still got a few things I got to fix. But it's going up, it's getting better. And I was going through like a hard time, like a whole lot. And then I bumped into this other shelter, and the people like really liked me. They was really nice to me. And I had a roommate, and the roommate, she was cool at first, but then she started becoming like, I don't know what it is. Like, I think it's because like I had children, I had grandchildren, and stuff like that, and she didn't, so she couldn't really relate to me at all. And she was like really super like OCD. Like, I'm clean, but I'm not like OCD clean. My OCD is different. I have the OCD where you like always make the door sure stuff is locked or closed, or make sure the door is not open, and it drives me crazy. Like, it's super annoying and hard to deal with. But I'm clean, but she was like excessively clean, and she would like, talk in her sleep and get up and start arguing with me and yelling at me about my things on my side of my room. She didn't want me to have clothes because I was working and in the shelter, and she was like trying to get on SSI and do whatever she had to do, and I was working, so like I was able to buy myself clothes, sneakers, and make sure I was always clean, have my Metro card, and always taking care of my business, going to do whatever I had to do to get out of here. You know what I'm saying? And I even have a shirt that says, "Don't make friends, make money," and I work a lot, like a lot. So, a lot of people tease me like, "Oh, you only do security. You only do security." But it's a job. It's a job. I have a job, and I'm proud of me no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to have a job that I'm not going to name, but it was in the financial industry, and I was an administrative assistant for like 9 years, almost going on 10 years. And then they had that Enron thing that happened with all of the bankruptcies and the house foreclosures, and all of this stuff just took over the company, and like they had to like disintegrate a lot of the offices in there. Like, a lot of departments got dismantled, and a lot of people was moved, and a lot of my type of people was like fired. And I went through a lot to get that job. Like, I didn't go the way other people go. Like, they're really smart, they went to college and stuff like that. Like, I was pretty good in math, pretty like and reading and English. I never was good at it. And but I always liked math and science, you know what I'm saying? So I was on public assistance, and I didn't want to be on public assistance all my life. I wanted to make my own money. Like, I didn't want to keep telling somebody how many kids I'm feeding, who I'm sleeping with, how many men I know, or how many babies I have by this one and that one, or who I want to take to court and stuff. Well, not us taking them to court. The city actually take the men to court. Like, and we have to abide by it to get, food for our kids or whatever. But, it was a girl in there in the center, and she was talking to this other girl about this special program that they had. And I was like overhearing them, and I just like walked up to them and I was like, hey, I don't want to make you feel like I'm eavesdropping, but I did hear you talk about a program that you could go to where you could like learn the computer, you could, work and go to school and still get your PA case without it getting cut off because you're striving to get off of it. So I really want to know what this program is. What do I need to get in there? And they was like, oh, you just need your GED, which I didn't have, right? And I didn't have my diploma. I had my daughter early. My first daughter, I had her real early in life. And I really didn't know a lot of things. I didn't know about resumes. I didn't know nothing about, writing down a structured sheet of everything I did in my life, or writing down certain high schools I went to, because I always felt like life is life. You keep going. You're never going to remember this school. Like, it was, for me growing up, I didn't understand a lot of stuff about life. And I was like the oldest one. Like, so nobody ever talked to me about college or what I want to do when I grow up, or just general information about finances and growing or starting a business, which I always wanted to start because my dad had a business. He had a candy store, and I always wanted to have my own boutique. But I tried to like open my own boutique online before, but I had a few customers, and then I had one customer that really turned me off because she was trying to rip me off. And I had to wait 3 months almost to get the money back that she didn't want to give me, because she was talking to me really nasty on an email, and they found out that she was really being disgruntled, and so I got the money back. But I wasn't getting enough like customers. I wasn't getting support. Like, no one was driving my page. Even on my Facebook, nobody was really like reposting my store, like, and I was giving out cards. I bought my own t-shirts with my company name on it, and I put like my Instagram on the back. And then eventually, Instagram didn't let me get my pages back, so I lost my business brand page. So I had to make another brand page, but I had to put numbers at the end to get a page with my business number. But then I eventually started going through a lot of stuff, and I had to close the business because I was spending more money than I was making. But I still tried. Like, I still wanted to try, you know what I'm saying? And I don't drive. Like, I have tried to get my license like I think 4 times already, and I suffer from anxiety, so I get really antsy. Like, I'm always hype. So when I was in the car, like I jumped the gun. Like, I'm just excited and real excitable, and I keep like doing silly stuff and not passing the test. And it's just like really stressful for me because I really want to pass my driving test, because that's one of the things that would probably help me get around, because then I could probably go to the fashion district and find things that I want to sell and actually have it in hand and sell it online or whatever. But yeah, but like I said, I haven't been on my YouTube. I haven't had, like, it's so many demanding things you have to do in a shelter. Like, they knock on your door constantly. They announce things on the speaker a lot. You have to, like, get up and see a counselor every other week, and and I didn't want to. I had my cameras here, but my computer, like, I'm running out of space. I don't understand why. So I'm trying to get a computer with terabytes instead of like gigs, because I try to do a lot of YouTube, but you need a lot of gigs, and you need a lot of scan disc cards, and cameras and recorders. So I have a GoPro. I have another camera that I use, and when I'm here, I didn't feel safe with my cameras here, because, you know, one time I came in and my door was open, and luckily nobody came in and stole anything from my room, but I'm like a working person and ain't that many working people in here. And so you have to be careful for somebody like stealing your stuff, because one time somebody was like, they probably thought I wasn't here because I'm always never here. I'm always at work. And I was in here and they started shaking my door trying to get in, but they couldn't get in. But the people here, the staff liked me so much because I'm always busy. And they saw that my roommate was really trying to like keep me up at night, and she would get angry and like throw things on the floor, do weird stuff, like just really like disgruntled and just like trying to tell me off till I had to put her in her place to let her know I'm quiet for a reason, because I'm not gonna wait for you to hit me. I'm gonna knock you out, just period. That's, you know, and I really don't like to fight. I'm grown, you know. I just turned 50 this year. What I look like doing childish shit, excuse my language, childish stuff and wanting to fight. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to do that, but I went down to the lady and I told her how I felt. I felt like punching that lady in the face, and I told her I really do feel that way. You have to talk to her because like I want a better life for myself. I want to get my place. I don't want to get arrested for assault, and I know I am. You know what I'm saying? So eventually one day the lady came to me downstairs and she was like, hey, you want to get your own room? And I was like, are you serious? So she was like, yeah, you work all the time. You don't make no trouble. You don't come down here with problems. You don't go outside smoking with everybody. You don't interact with nobody. You just go and come. You never was late since you've been here. You never go AWOL. Like we have no problems with you. So we want to give you your own room. And I had my own room. Thank God for COVID, but COVID, it sucks, you know, to the people who lost people. I lost my uncle to it, but I'm saying it was a saving grace for me, because sometimes it seemed like sometimes things gotta go bad for something to go good for you. It's weird, but it seems like stuff like that always happens to me. Like things will go left and all of a sudden it goes right, like out of nowhere, where I'm thinking I'm gonna fall on my face, and it's like, oh, and it's like, how did that happen, you know? So I just want to apologize to y'all for not being on here. I don't really be having any content. Like, I'm not really like, they call us content creators. And it's like, I don't know what to create. Like, you know, I just talk about what I go through at the time and stuff like that, or make up my face or something. But I'm not like great at makeup. My sister, she's like a makeup professional. Like, she never went to school for it, but she did hair and makeup for, you know, Afrocentric hair, like braiding, stuff like that. And she did makeup, and she been doing it for so many years. She actually booked weddings and stuff like that. Like, she's a big wig and that stuff. But she actually taught me how to do my makeup, but I still do it my own way. But I miss y'all. Like, I'm gonna try, like, I'm moving tomorrow to my own place. It's gonna be really small. That's all my bags that I have packed right now. I have a lot of bags in storage, and all of this mostly is like tissue, toothpaste, a bunch of clothes and sneakers, because I love sneakers. I like electronics, and I like t-shirts. Like, I really like t-shirts. Like, I like Daffy Duck. I'm crazy about Wonder Woman. Like, that's my girl. But I do want to get a black Wonder Woman shirt. Like, oh my God. You know, my cousin brought me a Wonder Woman mug for my 50th birthday, but my daughter accidentally broke it, and she feels so bad about it that she's trying her best to find me another mug. But that's what's been going on. Like, this room is really small, but it's like a hotel room they put us in because of COVID. But my apartment is gonna be almost just this big because I have a studio. Because the way how they have it structured is like, if you're single with no kids, they force you into a studio. Like, they won't give you the option to have a 1 bedroom, so you can have like a living room and your bedroom. They only give it to people who have kids. Like, they'll have a 1 bedroom for a lady who have like a girl. They'll put them in the same room. If you have a boy, you could get 2 bedrooms and stuff like that, and it goes by your gross. And I feel like that's not fair, because the city nets you soon as you get your check. Your check is a net. So why charge people going by something they actually don't tangibly have in their hands? Like, I feel like that's a slap in the face, and it's not fair. And I feel like if you was a mother already and you an older woman, I gave life to this world. I shouldn't be judged or mistreated or forced to be in a smaller situation just because my kids got older. Because I have grandkids now, and it's going to be super uncomfortable with them in my space where I sleep. It's like they like to touch stuff, they want to play, and I love them so much, and I like them to have the freedom. But it would have been really nice to have a 1 bedroom that I could afford. So this apartment is affordable. I am happy that I'm having somewhere to stay. It's really far from the train, which is going to make it tough for me to go to work. I like the first apartment that I saw, but I couldn't breathe when I got off the elevator because the hallway was this long, kind of narrow hallway, not really wide, and it had a rug all the way through. And I have sinus problems and allergies and asthma and stuff like that. I have trigger asthma. I had bronchial asthma, but that kind of went away. And I don't eat cheese and milk because it will still bother me. So when I got up to the apartment, the rug and the heat, I just really couldn't breathe when I got off the elevator. And it was really high, like on the 12th floor. And I told them I can't take the apartment. Like, it had great amenities. It was beautiful. It had a dishwasher, like everything. It had a big backyard part where I could probably take my grandkids, or I could work out in the back. I really loved the amenities. I had loved the apartment, even though it was a small studio. But that rug, like my apartment from the rug was like way down in the middle. So for me to get to that apartment with no breeze, there's no windows, it was like no real ventilation. It was just hot and stuffy, and just really I couldn't breathe. And I just was like, I don't want that apartment, because I have breathing issues, and I need a apartment with a hallway with no rug, closer to the first floor. And I can't, because I can't do it, So this one still had a washer dryer inside the building. It still have okay amenities, but it don't have like the big backyard in the back. It's far away from a lot of stores. It's far away from the train. You got to take the bus everywhere. And no bus really links me to the main trains that I really use on a frequent basis. So it's going to be tough, like, because I'm a hard worker, and I like to come in all of a sudden. Like, if my bosses call me, I like to be ready to come. But now I got to leave super early and, like, find my way back home and find my way away from my home. So it's going to be kind of tough, because it's not an area that I'm used to living. I used to live somewhere else in the city, but this part of the city I don't like, and I'm gonna have to try to learn how to live here. That's really depressing. But other than that, I am kind of happy. Don't gotta be in the shelter no more. I'm leaving tomorrow, so hopefully you guys will see me more often. doing my smoothies, or like going to the park, or with my grandkids or something like that, or my oldest daughter, stuff like that. But see y'all later, and make sure y'all subscribe, share, hit the bell, and have a good day. Later. Oh yeah, guys, I'm not gonna have an intro and an outro on this video because my intro and outro is literally on my computer, and I don't have my laptop out because I packed it. So ignore that. Later. I cut myself off, so I have to interject and put this piece in. So I was telling y'all about these girls I met in the public assistant office years ago, and they was talking about a program. And you needed the GED to get in. So what I did is I went to school and I got my GED in 1997. I had got my GED, and I kept calling the school over and over and over trying to get in. And they was like, oh, you're relentless. You keep calling us. We're not open yet. I was like, yeah, but I need to know when y'all open. When could I come in to register? They was like, oh, we'll call you in July. And everything in July came, and it was almost the end of July. And no one called me yet. I never got a call. So I went in person on a Monday. And I went to the place, and I was like, hey, I want to get registered for this program. I heard these two girls talking about it, and I really want to get in. I want to get off PA. I want to get a job. Like, I want to, do something for my kids and make their life better, So she is like, wow. She was like, you the same girl that keep calling? I said, yeah. I'm the same girl that keep calling. Like, I want to get off of welfare like today. Like, I hate it. So she was like, all right, I'll take your name down. Do not come back here. We're going to call you. And I was like, you sure? She was like, you? Yes, we're going to call you because you're persistent and you really want to come to this school. So finally they called me and stuff, and I went to the program. And when you first go in the program, they give you a math test, a reading test, and a typing test. So I passed my math test with a perfect score, and then I passed my reading and comprehension like by the hair of my chinny chin chin. And typing, you might as well forget it, because I haven't typed since I was in high school. And that was on an old typewriter. Like, it was on the old typewriter. It wasn't like on a keyboard, and they had us on a keyboard. I didn't know how to work a mouse, none of that. So I was typing, and I was like, oh man, I'm not going to get in this school because I don't even know what I'm doing, right? So basically, I finished, and the lady was like, oh my God, you scored a perfect score on your math. Wow. So she was like, oh, we have a business math based class that we could put you in. You know what I'm saying? But we gonna put you on I think it was called a 2020 program. And I was like, what's a 2020 program? So she was like, oh, you go to work for the whole week and you go to school for one day. And and that's how it goes every week. And you'll get paid for working, and you'll still get your paycheck. You'll still get your food stamps and everything. It doesn't get cut off. And when you get out, we put you in a job. Like, we try to find you a job either in the private industry, or a bank, or like some kind of prestigious job, or you could just find a regular job. And I really didn't want a regular job, because sometimes still with these regular jobs, they was paying like $8, $9 an hour, and you would still need some type of public assistance, or food stamps, or Medicaid card. I didn't want none of that. I didn't want nothing from the city. I wanted to make all my own money, right? So I got my GED. I went to the place, did all the tests. Then I was on the elevator, and I had already was signed up for the class starting in September. And I didn't have a babysitter. I had to ask my aunt, God bless her soul, to keep my children. And she was like, oh, you could just give me some food stamps and buy juice and stuff like that. And, I'll keep them for you. And she never reneged. Like, she kept my daughters every time I had to go to school. I never had to knock on her door. And she'd be like, oh, I couldn't do it today. She literally kept my kids every time I had to go to school. Never had a problem. So she was like a rock when it came to me going to school. So I went to school, got my GD, everything got done. So when I was in the elevator, I heard these two girls talking about the program, and they was like, oh, I'm in the 80-20 program. So I asked them, what's the 80-20 program? The lady told me about a 20-20 or a 20-40 program. So they was like, oh, a 80-20 is when you go to work, you go to school for a whole week and you go to work for a whole week. And I'm like, so why she told me about going to work for a whole week and going to school for one day and going to work the next week, school for one day? I can't learn nothing in one day. I said, I want to go to school for a whole week and go to work for the whole week. So I was like, oh no. So I went back upstairs. I did not leave. I went back to the lady. And this was after I was already registered, already was supposed to start the 20-20 or 20-40 program. And I told her I want to change programs. And she was like, well, you can't because we already registered you for the other program. And I said, no. I was on the elevator and I heard these two girls talking about the 80-20 program and how you go to school for 1 week, you learn the computer, you learn about debits and credits, business transactions, stuff like that. And I was like, and you go to work a whole week. I'd rather learn. Like, I want to go to school for a whole week and work for a whole week. So she was like, you sure you want to do that? I really don't supposed to change people in the middle. You already had been registered. And I was like, look, miss, I said, look, this is my life and my kids' life. And I can't allow somebody to make a decision for my life. I have to make my own decision. And this is what I want to do. Because I don't want to be on welfare, period, at all, ever. So she was like, all right, tomorrow you have to dress business casual. Like, I knew what business casual was. I didn't know what business casual was. I ain't know none of that. So I was like, oh, okay. Like, to me, I guess that means dress nice. So I dressed as nice as I could. I had on a mint green regular shirt and a mint green pants with some black shoes or something I had on. Can't really recall. I think, yeah. So everything was mint green and I had on some black shoes or something like that. And I think I had my hair back in a ponytail or something. So she was like, you have to go see Mr. Such and Such. I'm not going to say what his name is because, he can't speak for himself. So she said you have to speak to him. He's the head of that department, and if he likes you, and he thinks he could work with you, you could go to the program. If he says no, then you have to stay with the program I'm in. So I was really nervous, and I felt like, dang, like, what if he don't like me? What if, but then I was like, I don't care. I'm going because I really want to do that program. And I was just dead set on being a better me. So I went up to him. She made me an appointment. So I had to go up to him the next day. So at a certain time. So I went up there like a few minutes early. I think 5 minutes early. And I was looking for him, and I found him, and he's like, okay, wait 1 minute here. And I was like, okay, so I waited. I sat in a seat. And he was like, hey, I'm Mr. Such and Such. I was like, hello, my name is Malik or whatever. And I was telling him who I was. And he was like, I heard you want to go into the 80/20 program mid registration. We usually don't do that. And I said, I understand. I said, but I really don't know nothing about a computer. I don't know nothing about resumes, and I don't know a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I personally don't feel that going to school for one day a week is going to help my life in any way. I feel like if you guys have a lot to teach us, I want to learn it. I want to learn everything that I need to know. I want to learn everything. So he was like, okay. And I said, I want to do the math class. I want to work for a whole week. And, you know, he was like, well, they teach you how to do timesheets downstairs for people so they could get paid and stuff like that. We teach you Excel, Word, PowerPoint. And this is stuff I never knew what it was until I learned the computer. I didn't know how to turn the computer on or off. I didn't know how to work the mouse. So they started us with mouse games. Like, they make this thing move all over the computer, and you got to try to move the mouse and catch it and click on. It was a mouse that you trying to click on it. Like, you have to follow it and click on it. And that would give you the mobility you needed to learn how the mouse works, like how it moves on the screen and how it, you know, it basically trains you to be in more control of the mouse, because the mouse is crazy. Like, when I first learned it, I was like, how the hell people work on this thing? Like, it's slippery. Like, how you supposed to catch the mouse? Like, I was getting aggravated. You know what I'm saying? But I was just like pushing on. I was like, I got to do this. So then eventually we started doing keyboarding on the computer, because, you know, I was born in the 70s, so I'm used to the typewriter. So I had to get used to the keyboard, and they would teach us A, S, D, F, J, K, L, semicolon. And I already had remembered that from school. But they was trying to really teach you how to type without looking. So every couple of days we had to learn how to type without looking. And eventually my speed went up. So I was like, what's speed? You know, I had to learn about that. She was like, oh, it's a typing speed. You know, you could be 30 minutes, 30 words per minute or 40 words per minute. They had a lady there that used to work at the airport, and she was 80 words a minute. Like, she typed like how the newscasters go across the page, how the words go across the page. She typed that fast. Like, she would type so fast that it intimidated a lot of us because we was brand new. But I was like, I'm not gonna let her intimidate me. I'ma still do what I gotta do. So I was learning that. Then I went to the business math class, and we was learning better vocabulary, which you see, it still didn't really stick with me. I knew some big words, but some of them words was ridiculous. I'm like, what is that word? Like, who even made that word up? Like, you know what I'm saying? But we had to do sentences and put these big words into sentences to see what made sense. And like, I had my dictionary all the time because I just was not good at vocabulary words, and never was, right? So I would constantly pass everything math. I would pass with flying colors, 90s, 100s, 85, 95, 100, 100, 100. And so I met a girl in that class, and she was so well spoken. Like, her vernacular was crazy. Like, she would speak like, yes, and, you know, just like really like proficient, like, you know, really good. Like, she spoke well, and people really looked up to her because she spoke like if she did work in the industry. So, but she was not good with math, and I was, and she was great with vocabulary. So we would work with each other to strengthen each other's weaknesses, and we became friends. I really don't know where she's at now, but we used to kind of bump heads a little because she was Jehovah's Witness, and I grew up as a Pentecostal with my mother, so my grandma was Jehovah's Witness, and my grandma died from cancer of the ovaries. And the reason why she died is because she didn't believe in, getting body parts taken out or things taken out your body or blood transfusions or any kind of fixing of anything with the body. She didn't believe in it. She felt like if you sick, that's what they believe. Like if you sick, you gonna die from that sickness. That's what God, that was your fate. But I don't believe that. I feel like save yourself and by any means necessary. That's how I see stuff, and she would get my daughters these like colorful Jehovah's Witness books, and I just felt like I thought it was nice, a nice gesture, but I just didn't feel like I didn't like her throwing her faith onto me when I had my own faith, and I had my own beliefs. She didn't believe in going to the movies. So it was a lot of stuff that we did not have in common. So we basically kind of like grew apart, I guess. But every time if I see her today or tomorrow, I will always have love for her and be like, hey, how you doing? I miss you, or something like that, But we just have different viewpoints. But I met her there at the school, and eventually I passed the school, right? So the school was like, you could either go to the bank and do the bank teller's test and get the job with the bank, or you could go to the financial firm and get the job with the financial firm, but you could only pick one. So I looked at the lady and I bust out crying because I felt overwhelmed, because I'm like, why would you give somebody a choice? Like, why wouldn't you give the person both options? Like, if this option doesn't work, you still have that option. I feel like a lot of times when it comes to people trying to get off public assistance, people always stagnates them or makes them choose. Like, if you have 5 jobs out there and I got to take a test for 5 jobs, I'd rather take a test for 5 jobs and not have to pick which one I want to take a test for. Because if I fail that test, I'm out of a job. So she was like, I really could not stop crying. I just felt like here's another bump in the road, or a diversion, or a roadblock, or a wall. I just felt like I'm never going to get off of welfare, like, ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I blame myself. I got pregnant early. I didn't finish school. That's definitely my fault. Whatever innocent choices I made when I was younger, I had to pay for it. But I just felt like I really want to do this, and you trying to stop me. So I went and I took the bank teller test, and she had pulled some strings and still sent me on an interview for the financial firm. So I don't know what happened to the bank teller test. I never heard about what happened with it. I don't know if I passed the test or not. I don't know. To this day, I have no idea what happened with that test. So I went and did the interview at the financial firm, and I didn't get the job, because I never did an interview in my life. I didn't know what an interview was. I didn't know what it consists of. I didn't know what to say, what to do. None of that, So I went and I had a cup of tea because I was trying to hurry up and eat something because it was early, and they told me all of a sudden to go over there. So I didn't, when you don't really have money like that, you ain't throwing away your tea, so I had kept the tea, and I went to the interview, And I sat down, I gave her my resume, and I asked her, could I put my tea on her desk? So she was like, yeah, sure. So I put it at the edge of the desk or whatever. And then she was asking me all these questions, where you see yourself in 10 years? I didn't know where I see myself in 2 days from now. Honestly, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't really know what job was being offered. So I really didn't know what really to say. Like they would train us. They trained us at the place to say certain things. So I would basically verbatim what they taught me to say. And she was like, oh, you look really nice, you seem like a nice person, thanks for coming, I'm gonna get back to you or whatever. And I was like, okay, thank you. And I took my tea, whatever, and I left. So they called me in the room at the school, and they was like, you didn't get the job. But I was still doing timesheets and stuff, and I had learned about Excel to the point where I talked to my head boss, and I was like, hey, sorry y'all, I had got a phone call. But like I said, I talked to my head boss because I had learned so much in class that I had realized that we was cutting triple checks and double checks and quadruple checks for one person at a time, like by accident. So we was losing money on check paper because people was being put on different programs that they wasn't in no more. So they was getting paid several times on different checks, and it didn't make no sense. Cause when I saw them print out some of the checks, I'm like, yo, why this person got like 5 or 6 checks? Like, what's going on? So I asked my boss, I said, how exactly does the checks, how do the checks get printed? Like, what is the paper that's used, from the projects that gets these people paid? And he was like, well, it's the project sheets that we send you upstairs to make a copy every Thursday. So I was like, would you mind if I say, because I learned Excel pretty well, and would you mind if I go through the sheets of the Excel for each project and find out whose name is coming up several times per project, so I could find out what project they're really on and delete their name from the other projects and put them on the project they belong on. And that will save the company money because we're wasting paper checks, paper checks on people that's not going to get all those checks. They only going to get one. So he was like, hey, that's a good idea. Nobody never brought that idea up to me, and nobody ever really realized that people was getting double and triple checks. And I said, yeah, I would like to take that project on if it's okay. And he was like, yeah. So I took the project on, and I minimized the projects and went through everybody's name and wrote a list and project numbers next to the list to show how many times that certain people's name came up on multiple project lists where they didn't belong on. And I needed somebody to write what project they belonged on so I could delete them from all the rest of the other projects. So after I did that and reprinted it out every week on Thursday, we was down to accurate check printouts because the right people was on the right programs, and they was no longer extra people on different programs by accident that they already left or they used to be on and stuff like that. So I saved them money and time and stuff like that. I started using the lessons that they was teaching me in school to make the business that they was doing for us better. And he was like, that's such a good idea. So basically, they had got back to me at the school and they told me I didn't get the job for the other financial firm. And I was really devastated. I was so devastated. Like, I didn't know. I was just quiet. I was just devastated. I was like, I don't even know why I'm trying so hard for my kids when it seems like no matter what I try to do or how I try to learn or what direction I go in, I just can't do anything right. Like, I couldn't get better. Like, I just felt like, what's the point? And I went home and I slept on it and really was thinking about my classes and what they had taught me in resume class and what they taught me about if you don't get hired, to still write a thank you letter and probably add something in there that you probably didn't add before. Like, you didn't add on your resume or couldn't have added on your resume to let them see how you could benefit them. So I thought about it all night and I wrote down a draft. And they taught us how to set up a page when you're referring to someone at a business or whatever. I don't think I quite remember it, but I think it's their name at the on the left, and then you do indent, you do space, and then you put their name, and then you do like a space, and you write down whatever, and then you write your name underneath. So you write truly or sincerely or thank you or something like that with your name. You don't say dearly or lovingly because it's a business, right? So I wrote to the manager that interviewed me, and I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry about the decision that was made, but I did enjoy the interview. It gave me a lot of enlightenment and it taught me a lot, And I said, but I did forget to add that I stopped double checking and triple checking at the company I'm working at, and I saved the company money on double checks. And I made a whole new program myself to facilitate a more accurate project list so that people wouldn't get double checked and triple checked. So I just wanted to add that to let you know that I did learn a lot in this program, and I did look forward to working for you guys, and I do appreciate the time you took, interviewing me. Thank you or whatever, like, short and sweet. And 2 days passed and my manager came to me and he was like, "Oh, you gotta go." And I was like, "Go where?" He was like, "You gotta go back around the corner to the financial firm." So I was like, "Oh, what floor, what time, who I gotta see?" So they sent me to this department called high yield. So I went to the high yield department and I had an interview with the manager's secretary. She was the head secretary. So what did they call him? She was the head executive secretary. Like, she worked with the managing director. So she was interviewing me and we was talking for a long time and she was laughing and we just had a good chemistry. Like, we really had a good chemistry. Like, to this day, like, I love that lady, right? And she was telling me that it's a girl there. And honestly, in them companies, usually it's only one black person per department. Like, seriously. And it was another black girl that worked there, but they was trying to get rid of her because she was looking at porn on her computer and like doing like stuff on her computer that she knew was wrong. Like, she didn't care. Like, or she would like go to lunch and stay out for 2 hours. Like, she was just doing stuff that they was like wasn't right. So I was like, they was like they going to replace her with me, and I felt, I don't know about business how it's so cutthroat and stuff like that, and I just felt really bad because I'm like, oh my god, like I'm gonna take someone else's job, like I don't want to do that, I felt really bad. So they introduced me to her and everything, and they was like, "Oh, she's gonna be replacing you," and stuff like that. She was like, "Oh, all right." So they had called her in the room after, and they had asked me when I could start, and I said as soon as possible. So they told me that I could start Monday. So I was like, "All right," and then they called her in the room, and they fired her. And I prayed. I was like, God, please let me bump into this girl one day, please, because like I really feel hurt. Like I feel like that's not something I want to know. Like I don't want to know that I'm taking somebody's job, like at all. So I did eventually. I started working there. They hired me, and then eventually they put me. I was doing what do you temp work, and like I was temping for about half a year, whatever, and they really liked me, and they hired me for good, and I went home crying, and I took my girls out to dinner and stuff. I had got a raise. I was getting crazy raises after that. But one day God did let me bump into that girl, and I saw her, and I was like, oh my God, she was in scrubs. I said, oh my God, I wanted to see you all my life. Like I wanted to bump into you again. And I wanted to tell you, I'm so sorry. I felt so bad that they fired you and they replaced you with me. And I really always felt hurt about that. And I always wanted to apologize and just say, like, I'm sorry, like I didn't know that's what they were doing. She said, girl, please, I was trying to become a nurse and work in a hospital. She said, I was looking at porn on computer, leaving penises out in the open because I wanted to get fired because I was going back to school to be a nurse, So I was like, oh, you wanted to get fired? She was like, yeah. She said, I was doing all kind of stuff to get fired, girl. She said, I'm making money now. I work in a hospital. I'm doing real good, but I think you so sweet for just coming to me and letting me know how you feel. And I wish you the best. And she gave me a big hug. And that was the last time I saw her. So yeah, y'all gonna hear the rest of my story because I'm splitting this in between the part when I totally like dropped off of the conversation. So listen to the rest of the story.